I was talking fantasy football with my friends the other day. Alan, Bravo. Echo. November. Tango. On. Football. We're back with Bent on Fantasy Football again. We're approaching week number 9. Big week in the NFL this week.
Just over halfway through, so.
Yep. Welcome to the dungeon, everybody. We're glad to have you guys. Thanks for joining us again. I've got my good friend Josh here, and I am Alan Bentley. I'm your host, co-host. So we've got a lot of things that we want to touch on this week. One of the things we do want to tell you is we're not doing what's got us bent this week. We've got a couple different segments to the show that we're going to replace our Stardom and Sit 'em, but you can still see the Stardom and Sit 'em if you go to the website. We'll get to that in a minute. But we're actually going to talk about some news, and we're going to analyze a real fantasy team, my fantasy team.
So, I wouldn't necessarily call that a real fantasy team, but...
Yeah. We'll see at the end of the season.
We will.
When I am holding that championship high above my head... That championship doesn't really mean anything, but a real championship above my head, even though we don't have a trophy in that league. And you can call me champ. Or you can call me Mr. Champ if you prefer.
Okay. All
right, so before we kick things off, Josh, what kind of beer do you have today?
The beer that I'm drinking, and this is Crow beer because my Arizona Cardinals, who I said would blow the spread away, lost straight up to the... hobbled Green Bay Packers. So
for a second?
Yes, that's supposed to be a crow, Alan. So
he's going to be eating wingless crow. Wingless crow. Perfect.
Hey, you can digest it better without the wings. So
yeah. So crow beer.
And what are you drinking this week?
I am drinking. This one's for you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I grabbed one of your beers, but. This is for you. How did you do on your fantasy league, on the Espn league this
Well, actually, I thought I was going to get my butt kicked. I was up 5 going into Monday night. She had Kelsey.
Yeah.
Needed 5 points and a full point PPR. She got 4.
Yeah. So 1 point is still a win beer.
So I'm on fire in that league. I'm on a 2-game win streak. I'm 2-6. So watch out, rest of the league. Here I come.
I know I'm shaking in my boots. I'm on that league with him. And I know I'm shaking in my boots. And you'll understand why when we go through my roster.
Yes, you will.
All right. So, as we always do, let's have you guys join us in popping open a cold one. Sit back and enjoy the show.
That crow tastes pretty good, actually.
So does that 1 point.
I know it does.
All right. So, like we said, we're going to bring in a news segment today because not only is this news, but it's also some stuff that's got us bent too. So we're kind of combining the two into one. But the news broke just today in regard to Henry Ruggs. So you want to kind of run through that?
I do. We're not going to pine on this too much because, the league is still investigating. But from what we know... this really got me bent. And, as you know, someone died in a crash, whether it was caused by him, his fault or not. We don't know yet, but what really gets me bent is he's a professional athlete, a millionaire, okay? Now, when you and I go out and have a few drinks at the bar, what do? We call an Uber.
Right.
Okay?
Do something safe.
Do something safe. Now, Henry Ruggs, yes, you're partying in Las Vegas with your fiance. You have far more resources available to you than normal people like us do.
Absolutely.
And I know we're not quite normal, but I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah. All you had to do was make one phone call. They would have flown out a private jet for you. Yeah, they would have gotten you a limo. Instead, you got behind the wheel, and because of your stupid decision, someone's dead. Right. So,
yeah. And, it angers me for a lot of different reasons. From a personal perspective, I had a brother that was killed by a drunk driver, so it kind of hits home with me. But from a fan perspective, you let your team down. You let, and even much bigger than that, you let your fans down, you let your team down, but you also let yourself down. You're, like Josh said, you're a pro athlete. You've got everything going for you. We've heard reports that the speeds were north of 150 miles an hour when the crash occurred. It's absolutely inexcusable, and I'm glad the Raiders dropped you. To be honest with you, and I got nothing more to say about that. Let's move on to
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, what do you think about that news? I'm a little torn on that. So
well, yeah, it's a touchy subject on the show. We try not to talk about vaccines, masks, politics. We barely even talk about sports. But in all seriousness, though, we try to keep that stuff out. So we're going to reserve our own opinions of the vaccine and wearing a mask and what precautions they should probably take to ourselves. But we do want to talk about how this situation with Aaron Rodgers was handled. According to reports, Aaron Rodgers reported that he was, how did they term it?
Immunized.
Immunized, there you go. Which would say that he has had the vaccine and so forth, which may or may not be true. We don't
Well, I think
know.
his lawyers are saying that it doesn't necessarily say, but for lay people like us, if I tell you I'm immunized, that means I got the vaccine.
Right.
So
it's a play on words, and we don't know how true that is. We've just gotten reports from different sources saying that. But in my opinion, you again, you're a responsible adult and you're very wealthy and you want to stay that way. Do the things that you need to do to protect yourself, to protect the people around you. If you really, really have a passion for football, you'll protect your team and yourself, so you guys can be out there on Sundays and this type of thing doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
What you got? You want to say anything about Rodgers?
I do. I understand that a lot of people are, beliefs are against the vaccine now, but I will put it to you this way. Alan and I both have jobs outside of this. Believe it or not, this isn't making us millionaires.
Who thought?
Now, if you go to work and they have certain vaccine or testing requirements, you're required to abide by those, aren't you?
Yep.
Yep, and so am I. So I can choose not to work there,
Mm-hmm.
if my personal belief gets in the way of their vaccine or testing requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, you could do the same thing.
Yep.
So that's all I got to say about that. So
Yep. Okay.
let's move on.
Let's move on to OBJ. So, the news with OBJ, in case you haven't heard, which I'm sure you probably have by the time this video has been posted, is that his dad actually went and took, I guess, several clips from the way it sounds of OBJ being open this last weekend and Baker not hitting him in the open field, and posted it on the internet for the whole world to see, including his team.
Yeah.
Which, gotta say, not a brilliant move, okay? Not a smart idea. Obviously, because OBJ is not with the team at this time. He will be sitting out the rest of the season. And based off of what we've seen, it kind of looks like the team kind of nudged him in that direction, but he didn't disagree with it. So he'll be out for the rest of the season. Take him off your roster, make the adjustments you need to. But I guess the bottom line is, OBJ, if you want to remain in the NFL and you want to have a career, don't let your family watch the games.
Yeah.
If not, just retire.
And maybe OBJ's dad needs to hang out with Pat Mahomes' fiance and brother. They seem to have a lot in common.
Yeah, true. So, for what it's worth, OBJ is on my list, and it's not the nice list; it's the naughty list.
Well, he's definitely on my do not draft list here going forward. So
yeah, that's too much. Brings too much attention, unneeded attention to the team.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on to Mr. Michael Thomas. What's going on with Mr. Thomas?
Michael Thomas, he's probably not going to play this year, and nobody. If you're silly enough to draft him earlier than the 8th, 9th round, then it's on you. But as of right now, whether it was his decision or the team's decision, we don't know 100%. Sounds like it's more of a mutual decision, but looks like he will not be playing in 2021.
Yeah, he'll be on the bench. So make adjustments as needed to your rosters. Make sure you get him off of there. Fill it in with somebody who is at least serviceable.
Or anybody, for that matter. Anybody who's actually on a roster.
And doesn't have the same bye week as somebody else.
That's right.
But yeah, so just make sure you get that filled in. The whole Michael Thomas thing, all I'm going to really say on that is yeah, like you said, Josh, if you drafted him way too early, then it's your own fault. But you couldn't have necessarily foreseen this, but there's been no signs he's coming back, so he should have been off your roster.
And we know what kind of teammate he is too. He's not the best teammate. And
well, no, I don't know. Are you referring to the fight last year that he got into?
That and other stories. I mean, he's
right.
Like the Jeff Kent of teammates for football. So if that gives you an idea of how welcome he is in the locker room.
If you're talking in general, then I'll go along with that. But if you're talking about that one incident last week, I was going to debate that. We probably would have spent the rest of the show talking about how what's his name, Gardner Johnson, is such a piece of crap.
I know.
But okay, so like we said before, the Stardom and Siddums are on the website. It's at bentonfootball.godaddysite.com. Check it out at the top. You'll see the navigation, and you just go on to the Stardom and Siddum. You'll see our picks from last week and then from this week. And we'll have all the results posted up and everything from last week.
I think we skipped over one guy, Russell Wilson.
Oh, we did. Actually, a couple guys that we skipped over.
Russell Wilson and
CMC.
CMC. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
My bad. We have this cheat sheet we have in front of us, and it doesn't have those on there that Josh made up. So
they do. Alan just can't read.
It really wasn't. It really wasn't. No, I don't see that. Look, are you reading it? It's not on there. So. Anyway, let's touch on those two guys then. I'll start with CMC.
Okay.
CMC is at practice. He is having very, very limited practice today, which is Wednesday. When you guys are seeing this, it'll be yesterday. But they are optimistic that he'll be back on the field soon. They're not going to give any specific timetable. There is an outside chance, and I mean a far outside chance, that he'll play in Week 9. If you have him on your roster, make plans to sit him because he probably won't be out there. The team did not sound gung-ho about pushing him back out there this week, so don't worry about him this week, but be prepared. Next week, Week 10, he'll be probably ready to go. It's a good possibility he'll be back on the field and ready to go.
Yep. So Chuba owners, trade now if you can. That ship might have sailed, but you got one more week, and that's about it.
Yeah. As soon as everybody sees this video and they hear about what I just said, they're probably gonna your value's probably gonna go away. So get rid of them while you can, Jay.
Well, I hope they did that last week, but a lot of people didn't. So
yeah, some people just held on to him and played him last week, Jay. Just saying. I don't know anybody that did that named Jay.
Yeah.
But, just saying.
Yes. And then Russell Wilson, they're saying Week 10, aren't they?
Yeah. The last thing I seen, they're saying Week 10, which, on one of my leagues, not the one we'll be discussing later, but on one of my leagues, I have both Wilson and CMC. So Week 10, if I can eke by this week and get a win, Week 10, I'm coming back. So.
I'm just as bad as you. My first two draft picks were CMC and Calvin Ridley. So we're both in a doozy there.
Yeah. So, and one other note too, just kind of a side note, is that the Rams had a major upgrade this week. They in the trade they traded for Von Miller to add to their defense. Normally we don't talk about defenses on the show, but this kind of warrants some attention. So, Von Miller. Now with the Rams.
That defense, though, with Aaron Donald, not to mention Jalen Ramsey, not to mention Von Miller, that defense is just going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to stop them this year. We have discussions on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, as to who the best team in the NFL is. I think the pendulum's starting to swing.
It is.
I think the Rams are going to be the next team that we talk about being the best in the league. Actually, we just did.
We just did. So
perfect. All right. So back to what we were going to talk about next. We mentioned the website and also the email too is bentffb@gmail.com. So give us some feedback. We want to hear from you guys. Always want to make the show better. So let us know what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not about me, but about Alan, of course. So.
Well, yeah, I can take it. It's all good.
So we're gonna go through one of Alan's teams in the ESPN league. Now that You're actually on a pretty hot win streak, aren't you? 2 or 3 in a row?
I am 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
I had a very, very slow start.
So that means you're 7-1 or something now, doesn't it? Or
No.
he's 4-4, by the way.
Yeah,
so
I'm 4-4. I'm actually at a good place in our league because I'm not too far out of first place. I'm only 2 games out, and I still have to play the guy that's in the lead on the league a couple times this year. So I'm in a good position. Schedule-wise, I've got some easier teams, including Josh's, coming up soon. So
that's 2 weeks from now. So you'll hear all about it.
Yeah, you will. I'll be doing all the talking. Josh will be doing all the sitting.
You'll be eating more crow is what you'll be doing when I get CMC back. So
okay, we'll see. Anyway, so we do want to go through my team this week, and we want to talk about the players that I have and what my strategy moving forward is, and just kind of get some feedback from Josh here on what he thinks and how he thinks I will end up for the season. So
yeah. And I went over. We got your lineup here. We got your bench players.
Yep. Let's run through my lineup real quick or my roster, I guess, real quick, and just kind of give everybody an idea of who I've got out there, just so we're not...
Okay. Do you want to go through the starting roster first, or do you want me to go through the whole roster?
Just go through everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Lamar Jackson is quarterback, and both of us are really, really high on him. He already had his bye week, so that's a huge advantage you have over a lot of other people in the league.
Yep.
Running backs, I would say pretty solid. You got Aaron Jones, volume guy. Daryl Henderson, volume guy. Josh Jacobs really hasn't performed to his potential yet, but we think there's going to be big things coming out of there. So we hope. And then Elijah Mitchell. So what's going to happen when Jeff Wilson comes back? We don't know. But Elijah Mitchell right now he's killing it.
Yeah, he's having a great season so far.
Oh, not to mention Eckler. You have Eckler. I cannot forget Eckler, top 5 potential running back. So
at running back, I'm pretty stacked. I got some good starters, and I've got some good bench. I got depth, so I'm set at running back for the time being.
I would agree. Now, here's where you're a little weak, and I think we can both agree on this. You got Godwin and Pittman, who we both like. Godwin's on a bye this week. A-Rob, what the heck happened to A-Rob this year? And we talked him up. Said he's quarterback proof,
and
matchup proof.
The whole 9 yards.
But something's just not right with that Bears team.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's almost droppable. So, and we'll get into that just a little bit. We'll talk about who's out there available. DJ Chark.
Out for the season. Had good potential. That's gone.
And that's gone.
There's a reason, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, but there's a reason why I've kept him on my roster. So we'll come back to that.
Okay. All right. So a little strength at wide receiver. A little weak, though, with A-Rob and Chark. Fant, one of the top tight ends in the league, he may not play this week. So we don't know about that. Ingram, he did score a touchdown this past week.
Yeah,
he was your start. I think he's going to see more volume. I really do, and I know you're high on him as well.
Yeah, he's had a slow start to the season, but I think he missed a couple games, but I think in the long run he's going to be serviceable. Probably not as a starter. That remains to be seen, but I do have Fant, and we've talked many times on this show that I'm a big fan of Noah Fant. So.
And I generally don't like to talk about defenses and kickers. I'm not going to talk about the kickers. You got 2 of them. But defense, you got the Rams. I mean, that going forward, that's, going to give you a clear advantage over everyone else in the league.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Tannehill is your backup quarterback. As a backup quarterback, that's probably the best in our league that I've seen for a backup quarterback.
It's interesting because in our draft, the quarterbacks went late, very, very late as compared to normal. I expected a lot of quarterbacks to come off before they did. Tannehill was still out there. He was the best of the best at that point. So it was kind of a no-brainer picking him up. Yeah.
And I would hang on to him just in case matchups. You got Lamar, who is a must-start every week.
Right.
We talked about him being off bye. So,
yep.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? Let's talk about these receivers here.
Okay.
So.
All right. So... again, just as a review, I've got Allen Robinson, I've got Michael Pittman, I've got DJ Chark, and
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, Chris Godwin. So Godwin being on a bye this week, it kind of puts me in a little bit of a weird position because I really don't want to start Allen Robinson. So being that I am weak at wideout, what I did was, so last week my kicker Zerline was on a bye, not this last week, but the week before, so he's already had his bye week. We're good with that. I'm going to actually drop Sanders as my kicker, and I'm actually going to drop Chark. And the reason I kept both of them as long as I have is because I wanted to keep roster spots available for the two guys that I'm looking to pick up.
And to fill in for bye weeks, nonetheless.
Yes,
so Sanders especially.
Absolutely. So once that ship has sailed, I'm free to go. So I'm looking at two wide receivers this week. One of them is from the Raiders, excuse me, not the Rams, the Raiders, and no, it's not Ruggs. So for those of you who are wondering,
he's still owned, by the way. The person who owns him didn't drop him.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on with that?
I would have dropped him as soon as I heard the news come out before they even released him. He'd have been gone, but.
I would have dropped him like your barber, man.
Alrighty then. So I'm looking at Hunter Renfrow. Sometimes I hate this job. Looking at Hunter Renfrow as one of my free agent picks out there. We talked about Hunter Renfrow a little bit before the show started. Josh is not real big on Hunter Renfrow.
I am now with Ruggs out because he did see double-digit targets 3 out of the last 5 games. I'm not as high on him as you are, but I can see myself coming around to it, especially with this news on Ruggs. I mean, we just found out about this today to the full extent. So.
I was actually looking at Ruggs, and then as quite literally as I was looking at his stats, the news came out, and I got the alert, and I read it, and I was like, okay, next. Yep. and immediately I started thinking about the Raiders, because they've got to fill that gap, because he did have a significant part of the offense there. So that's going to be picked up probably by Renfrow. There may be, a little bit of spreading out of those targets a little bit more, but I think in the long run, I think Renfrow will be the good fill-in for him.
And I do too, and I think especially in that offense, if any offense is made for a wide receiver to really thrive, especially with a vacating of as many targets as Ruggs is getting, it's that Las Vegas offense. I mean, they throw 40 times a game.
Exactly. So, that was the other thing too. Volume is a huge thing with them.
Absolutely.
So
that could definitely be a big pickup. Now, hopefully, you'll get him. By the time this posts, we'll know if you got him or not because 2 a.m. it closes tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the transactions are made at 2 a.m. this morning, or actually tomorrow morning.
So that means at 1:58, I'm going to go in and bid more than Alan does on our
The bad part is he just seen how much I bid too. So Josh may not be here next week. He may be in a full body cast when he gets here. I'm not really sure how that's going to go, but we'll see.
So fortunately, I'm not going after Renfrow because I'm 2-6, so I'm not going to spend a big part of my fab on a receiver.
See what I meant about easy schedule coming up?
Yeah. So I think that should be a no-brainer. You should be able to get him, and we'll find out, and we'll let you guys know next show. So
yeah. So the other one that I'm looking at is Devontae Parker. I'm a little nervous about the Miami offense. They're shaky at best. I think they're going to come around, though. I think it's going to gel together to be at least something that I can depend on Parker for some fantasy points and maybe even some volume because they're going to be behind quite a bit. So I get a lot of garbage yardage on the weeks that I need him.
I do too, and he hasn't been the best. Remember, Tua was out earlier in the season for an injury. It's really taken him a couple weeks to really get back and jive with that offense. With a fully healthy Tua, we saw what he did in college. Right. We saw what he did in his rookie season. He can open up that field, spread that field like pretty much nobody else. I mean, I would compare him to a lefty Justin Fields in pure talent. The only advantage he has over Fields is he's got a year in the league, and he proved that he could do it last year. So I think he's going to really spread the field for those wide receivers with his running ability. Devontae Parker, I think he's poised for success.
So it gives me a pretty solid...
Now, that being said, barring if Tua gets injured again, all bets are kind of off in that offense. But with 100% healthy Tua, Devontae Parker, I just pulled an Allen. Devontae Parker could have a great rest of the season.
It's got to be something in the air here, I think. What are they pumping through these pipes?
I don't know. Besides Geritol and vitamin C.
This is not. Oh, never mind. We're not going to go there anyway.
Yeah, so, Jay's not here, so we don't have to worry about that.
But anyway, it's going to give me some two more receivers that I can actually plug in. Depending on the matchup. I can rotate between them. I can pick one that's taken off or whatever. But the other thing is I have 2 tight ends on my team. Most fantasy managers or owners will carry 1 tight end after the bye week. The reason I'm keeping with the 2 tight ends is because I still think Ingram's going to be serviceable. What that gives me the ability to do is take one of my receivers out, plug in 2 tight ends, one at the flex position and one at the regular tight end position. So it's going to give me a little bit more flexibility throughout the rest of the season, barring any injuries, of course, that I can use to my advantage, depending on matchups, depending on what I think is going to happen. And if you look at the previous Bent predictions, you'll notice that I know it's going to happen a lot.
It just doesn't mean it's good, you know.
That's true too.
Yes,
That's true too.
But yeah, you got Fant and Ingram. Both guys could be serviceable. Now we both like Fant, you know, over Ingram. He's probably not going to play this week. You know, he's on the COVID-19 reserve list. That being said, I think you could agree with me. If he does play him. Yep, over Ingram.
For sure. Till Ingram starts to pick up some momentum and start showing some promise. He had a touchdown last week, but it was his first one on the season. He missed a couple games. So there's a lot of things that have to really fall into place for him to be my number 1 tight end.
Yes.
But it does give me some flexibility.
But it looks like Fant's out anyway, so that may be a conversation we don't have to have. So
Right. Now, just a kind of an FYI thing for you guys, just so you know how it works. If a player tests positive for COVID-19, he gets put on the COVID-19 IR, if you will, or injured reserve. And he has to have 2 negative tests within a 24-hour period, or at least 24 hours apart, I think it is. Two tests that are both negative, and he has to show no symptoms in order for him to come back. So keep that in mind for Rodgers. Keep that in mind for Fant, if you've got him on your league, or anybody else that shows up on the COVID-19 list. But it's a little insight on how that whole thing works for you.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about my matchup that I have this week.
Sure.
The guy that I'm playing, his name is Sean, and the name of his team is Yes Sir. And that's what he'll be saying to me. I'll be saying, "Did I win, Sean?" And he'll be saying, "Yes, sir."
Yes.
So here's what his lineup consists of, and I'll just kind of read through. He's got Jalen Hurts. He's got Saquon Barkley, Daryl Williams.
Not Daryl.
Daryl Williams. Deandre Hopkins. I can read it, just can't remember.
Yes, that's right.
Hunter Henry, Jalen Waddle, Broncos defense, Matt Prater, Terry McLaughlin, who will be on a bye.
McLaurin.
That's what I said. Terry McLaurin, who will be on a bye. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is on IR. Miles Sanders, who's on IR. Tyler Lockett, who's on a bye. Tom Brady, who's on a bye. Logan Thomas, who's on a bye. Michael Thomas, who we just found out today will be walking away from the league for the rest of the season. And Devonta Booker. Okay.
Yeah.
So, first 2 things that popped out at me, Tom Brady and Tyler Lockett are on a bye. Yes.
I love it. I love this matchup that you have this week.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts is a formidable quarterback. He can put up some fantasy points. But I think I'm going to be all right with having Jackson back in the lineup this week. I think that's going to be a nice offset. Saquon Barkley's still questionable. Now, I did read today that he was at practice. He was stretching at practice. I don't have any word on how limited he was in practice. I'm sure he was. He may have even just been stretching. I don't know. So it's a definite maybe in his lineup.
In fact, right now, though, ESPN, I believe, and then Yahoo, a few websites actually have him projected as 0 points. So they're not expecting him. A lot of the fantasy pros are not expecting him to play. So if he does, that's even better for you because they're going to they're really, really going to limit him.
Right. And then he has Daryl Williams, which I have Daryl Williams on another league, and I absolutely love this player because the reason is, and I told this recently to someone else, that Daryl Williams is what Clyde Edwards-Helaire was supposed to be.
You said this a few weeks ago that this spells the doom for CEH on the show. So
yeah, and I also told somebody just yesterday actually that once he comes back, and he may have 1 start, 2 starts, but you'll be able to count on one hand the number of carries CEH has. Okay, so he's going to have less than 6 carries, I think, per game, simply for the fact that Williams is doing so well. Now, not a huge fantasy scorer. However, he gets the catches. He gets the carries. He is basically the workhorse, with a slight exception of I'm not sure what the guy's name is. It's number 40 for the.
Oh my God, Derek Gore. Who
Gore.
the heck is that?
Gore, yeah. How would I forget the name Gore?
Yeah, right.
But anyway,
I didn't even know he was in the league until last night or 2 nights ago. Yeah,
and he saw some carries, and that's a little bit of a concern, but not much.
And didn't he got the touchdown too?
He did. So it is what it is. But Deandre Hopkins is his one of his wide receivers. Deandre Hopkins is listed as questionable for this week. I wish they would bring back the probable status, because questionable is so questionable as to what questionable means.
Well,
see what I'm saying?
Pretty much this year, though, if you've noticed, pretty much every star player is going to be on the injury report at some point throughout the week. With the 17-week regular season,
right?
Lamar's on the injury report every week, and then he gets cleared come Thursday, Friday.
Right.
Right.
So DeAndre Hopkins is probably going to be playing this week. I'm not saying that he won't be. He probably will be in the lineup. I don't really see anything that's going to restrict him that I've read so far. Good wide receiver, very formidable. But I'm offsetting that with my with either
Pittman.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pittman, or one of the guys that I'm picking up this week. So, I'm not really too worried about that. Hunter Henry, not overly worried about him either. He's a point scorer, but not double digits most of the time, so I'm not really worried about it.
I'm starting to really become more high on Pittman than Hopkins, and I think you are too.
Yeah, I am. Now, that being said, the rest of his lineup is not as much of a threat. Like I said, he's got Waddle, the Broncos defense, and Matt Prater. I don't ever worry about kickers because they can only surprise you, and it's a surprise. So.
Pretty much most of his team is going to be in Las Vegas this weekend. They're all on bye, so.
Right. Yep. So I don't know what he's going to do for another wide receiver. He's still got a blank in his lineup. I don't really think it matters, because with me anyway, and I know some owners think differently, I don't play against what my opponent is playing. So, for example, if he's got a quarterback, I don't start the receiver on the same team just because he started that quarterback. I definitely look at my own roster, my own challenges with teams and players and so forth, and make my decision there. So it's not going to affect my lineup at all. And hopefully he's not going for one of the wide receivers that I am and bidding more.
And I really like your matchup this week. Now, you mentioned Jalen Hurts. You and I talked about him this past Sunday when we were watching those games. They won 44-6 against Detroit. Jalen Hurts only had something like 21 points.
Yeah.
Now, while he's a great field general for that offense, he's a great NFL quarterback. Fantasy numbers last couple weeks, he just hasn't been putting them up.
Yeah, and with 41 points on the board, you should see a significantly more points from your quarterback.
In fact, there's rumblings that the mustache Gardner Minshew may be starting in the next couple weeks. So
yeah, so I don't know, and that kind of concerns me, because I really like Jalen Hurts. I like Gardner Minshew though too, if I'm being honest. I don't know why they pulled him out of the starting lineup last year, but I like him. I think he's got an arm. I think he's very serviceable. So keep that in mind, in the back of your minds. Jalen Hurts goes down or sits down, then Gardner Minshew might be a good option, because I don't think he's owned very much, if at all.
I don't think, probably 5%. I would be surprised if it's 5% in most leagues.
So that being said, my next few games are going to be against teams that are 500 or below. So
including mine, right?
I wasn't going to say that. I mean, it is true. You are slightly below 500 and 400.
See, it's going to be hard, though, because I'm 250, okay? 250, 2-6. Now, 2 weeks when we play, I'm going to be rooting for Lamar, because I have him in the Yahoo League where I'm 7-1 right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to be rooting against him, against you. So, but you know what? We'll see what happens. All right. If CMC comes back, then I might only lose by 30 to you instead of 40 or 50.
Well, we'll see. Maybe.
We'll do another side bet that week, guys.
You want me to like bench some players for you? I mean,
no, you don't have to. Well, even if you said you will right now, you'll forget by then anyway. So,
forget your name and what names I was supposed to
drop. We're probably going to do another side bet when it comes to our matchup. We'll talk about that.
Well, and actually, you know what? Why don't you guys weigh in? Why don't you guys weigh in and tell us what we should be betting on and keep it, moderately clean.
Yes. Yes.
But tell us what you think the terms of our bet should be. Make Josh wear something funny on the show. That'd be awesome.
Funnier than this shirt with the shows of both of us on it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. But anyway, weigh in on my team too. Tell me who you think I should be starting. Tell me who you think I should be sitting. Tell me, what free agents you think I should go for. I can't give you a list of all the ones that are available in our league, but throw some names at me. I'll throw some.
Tell us what you think his chances are too of winning. I mean, I think we both think they're pretty high based on the lineups. If you guys have any opinions on certain matchups, let us know.
And I'm going to go back here and take a look and give you guys where I'm at in the standings and why I'm extremely optimistic at 4-4 at this point in the season.
And it's a 10-team league, by the way.
It is, yes. Yes, good point. Let me find the...
We did ours a little differently. We broke it up into 2 divisions. Don't we have an AFC and an NFC?
We do.
Okay. So we have 5. It's 5 and 5.
Yep, we do that every year just to that way we can actually get two games against somebody in our division and 1 game out of division and not have a problem with it.
Although this year I think we're going to have, let's see, we're going to play everybody, I believe, with the 14 games now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, the 17 games, but a 14-game fantasy season.
And I'm not really sure how that pans out as far as the schedule goes because I was like not going to even touch that this year. Now, where do I find the standings? Is it going to be under
League Home?
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not used to looking at this on the laptop. I'm used to being on my phone. I can zip through it. But I do have the standings coming up right now. So at this point.
So here's the NFC.
Yeah. Full standings. And we're waiting for the pigeon to get back to this computer with all the information. It's going to be... All right, here we go.
The hamsters need to run faster over there. Come on. We need more internet.
All right. So if we're looking at my division, which I don't see. Oh, right here.
Yep.
Right here. Okay. I was looking below it. Okay. Right now, we've got 5 teams in the division. My team is 3rd, and the number 1 team, which would be Ethan, is 6-2, and then the guy that I'm playing this week is 5-3. So yes, sir is 5-3, and I'm 4-4. I've got another person that's 4-4 on the league, and then we have a 2-6 on the league also. With that, I'm 2 games out of first place. It shows, and I don't take a whole lot of stock into this, but it says my percentages to make the playoffs this year are 89%.
I was going to talk about that, and tell them what mine is, Alan, by the way, while we're here. My percentage to make the playoffs.
Negative. Oh, no, it's 10%.
10%. Yeah, so you're 10%. Saying there's a chance.
Yeah. There's always a chance, Josh.
I know.
But anyway, so I'm actually only 2 games out of first place. As far as points go, though, where is our total points? Right here. Out of all 10 teams, I'm 4th in total points with 1,163 points this season.
That's points allowed. You got 1088.
Oh yeah, 1088. Yeah, you're right.
You have given up the most points out of anybody, though. So
which is probably the week 1. I can tell you for sure that if I wouldn't have been playing the team that I was playing, I would have won. So that's, I've been scored a lot of points against me this year.
Well, it's funny how that works because I'm only 20 points behind you as points allowed. We've given up more points than anyone else in the season by almost 100.
All right, good job.
So our defenses suck. We're like the Bears' defense.
Oh boy, yeah. Okay, so points-wise, I'm in a good place. In my division, speaking just in my division, I'm 2nd in points in my division. So as far as the tiebreaker for standings and so forth, I'm in a good position as well. Being 4-4, I stand a really good chance with my schedule coming up and the roster that I have. In contrast to some of these guys have lost some big names, Saquon Barkley.
I lost CMC and Ridley.
Yeah, so. Exactly. So there's been a lot of key injuries that are long term in my division. In the league, obviously, but in my division especially, where it's going to give me a leg up. My injuries have been, knock on wood, pretty non-existent on this league. The next league of mine that we'll talk about, totally different story. But,
oh God, yeah.
Next week we are going to cover Josh's team, one of his teams. He's going to pick which one this week, and we'll figure it out. But so I think it puts me in a really good position. I think being that, like I said, I'm 500. I think I'm in a good position to move up quickly, considering that a lot of the guys in my league are playing out of division for most of their games. I'm playing the majority of mine in division. Gives me a chance to separate from some and catch up to some. So,
and those top couple guys are going to pick off each other over the next 3-4 weeks as well. So
right. So I've got a good, I'd say a fairly good chance of at least winning my division. The playoffs come, that's a whole different thing. We'll cover that when we come to it. But
yeah, I can just hear in Jim Mora's voice in the back of my head, playoffs with my 10% chance. But you know what? I'm not getting down about that. So
yeah, and I've seen teams go 0-6 and still make the playoffs. So you being 2-6.
With an extra game, nonetheless.
Right, with an extra game. So, yeah, there's some potential for you there to come back to. It's just a matter of getting all your players to
not much,
show up.
but some, right?
I'm just saying, there's a potential. You're only a game behind the next loser.
That's true, the next loser. And I play him, so, hey.
Hey, there you go. You can be tied for bottom loser.
Oh, God.
Or top. We'll say top loser.
Top loser. I'll be top loser.
All right, perfect. All right, so... also, you can weigh in on my team. Tell me what you think of my strategy. Tell me what you think is going to happen. It's bentffb@gmail.com, and or you can comment on the website on the YouTube page when you like, subscribe, and share.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So you want to move on to bet predictions this week? I do. Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah, we're 12-3, guys. We went 2-1 last week. Unfortunately, we had to lose one because Alan and I bet against each other on the Cardinal game.
Yeah.
80% winners, though, man. I mean, that's just unheard of. So we're going to give bet predictions every week on the show like we do. But we're also going to have some premium content on the website where we're going to give you some more bet predictions.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Take advantage of them because, like you said, we've got a good record. Just kind of take it for what it's worth. Even take it, listen to it, and absorb it, and see what you think about it. If you like it, great. If you don't, get bent.
Yeah. But the one prediction I have this week that I'm going to give you guys is Cleveland on the road at Cincinnati. They're 2.5-point underdogs right now. Cleveland just came off a really, really tough loss at home against Pittsburgh. Cleveland's going to go into this game, and it's another divisional game, so they have to win this game. Cincinnati, that defense we thought was great a couple weeks ago. They got lit up by over 400 yards. By who?
Unbelievable.
Mike White, the quarterback.
Unbelievable.
Yes. So I could see a big game out of Baker Mayfield this week. Not only will Cleveland cover that 2.5 points, but I think they'll win easily on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely could see that happening. All right, so my bet prediction this week is actually going to involve one of the players that I mentioned on my roster, and we talked about him briefly, and that's Evan Ingram. I think this week is the week he opens up. I think Ingram is going to end up the game, provided I'm gonna throw a caveat in there, provided that he stays healthy.
Okay.
That seems to be a question more often than not this year. But anyway, I'm going to say he's going to end up north of 75 yards and one or more touchdowns.
Okay. 75 plus yards and 1+ TDs. Okay.
Yep. So I think this is his week that he starts picking up the momentum that I talked about, and I think he's going to have a good, solid week this week.
He was really involved early on Monday night, too. And I thought he would have way more than what he did have. He ended up with 3 catches, 20 yards, something around there.
Yeah, I was looking at his targets.
Yeah. And
his targets are consistently, they were consistent for a while. Now they're starting to creep up a little bit. So I think he's definitely in for some bigger things. And the Giants defense is going to have to get going. They can't depend on Saquon Barkley anymore.
Did you see some of those bad drops Slayton had Monday night too? Mm-hmm. If he keeps dropping balls like that, they're not going to throw to him.
Yeah.
8-9 targets, I wouldn't be surprised for Ingram.
Yeah, I could see that too. All right, so is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Just raise your hand if there is.
No, I'm just kidding. I got nothing.
I was going to say, I seen a hand up. Oh, my God, I was just joking with him. No. So, all right, so I guess unless you have something else, we're going to kind of wrap up this week.
I got nothing else. If you guys want to give us your opinion on some of the stuff we talked about earlier in the show, on the players, like I said, we're not going to give our opinions on a lot of the stuff that happened this week, but you guys are welcome to give your opinions, what you think, how it's going to affect the team, the league as a whole, so forth. We'd love to hear your comments.
Yeah, we want you guys to be interactive. When I say you guys, I mean all of you guys, all of you out there. We want you to be interactive with the show.
Absolutely.
We want to.
You could almost pick your own nose on the camera with that finger.
Think?
Not quite.
I'm
Almost.
not quite coordinated enough, but I'll work on that later. But anyway, we definitely want to hear from you guys. We want to hear more feedback. We want to hear more of what you guys are saying. When you close out the video and walk away, and what you're telling your wives, those idiots again, or anything, any feedback you give us.
He said it, not me, guys.
No, idiots. I meant.
Okay.
Those idiots. Anyway, moving on. So anyway, I guess
We've been called much worse, so I'll take an idiot.
And that was probably true too. So
yeah.
Anyway,
from you.
All right. So I guess then until next week. All you can do is just get bent
on fantasy football. All right, can we stop it now?
I was gonna wait to see how long you would sit there.